It's Tuesday, November the 19th. The word for you today. Today comes out of 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 15. It's talking about personal growth and our commitment to personal growth. Paul says to Timothy, "Be diligent in these matters. Give yourself wholly to them so that everyone may see your progress." Well, be diligent in these matters. What matters is he talking about? Well, if you look at 1 Timothy 4, 1-14, you look and see what he's talking about. He's talking about that some will desert the faith. He talks about false teachers, about not getting caught up in controversies, putting your hope in Jesus, set an example for others, devote yourself to the preaching and teaching of scriptures. He's talking about all. He says, be diligent in these matters. What does it mean to be diligent? It means to be constant, take it seriously. Our bodies get older, and as they get older, if we want them to grow in a healthy way, we have to take care of it with diet, with exercise. We have to intentionally take care of our bodies for them to function well. Well, our minds and our spiritual life are the same way. We must be intentional about taking care of them. Notice what Paul tells Timothy to do, that he might be healthy spiritually. He says, be diligent. Be diligent in these matters. Be intentional. Be on purpose. On purpose, do things that's going to help you to grow. Don't let other things crowd out true teaching, hope in Jesus, being an example for others, teaching of Scripture. Be diligent about those things. Read the Bible. Spend time with God. Be diligent. Be intentional. Make time for that. So the first thing he tells us is be diligent in these matters. Then he says, give yourself wholly. Give it everything you've got. Don't just, not just word, but actually put yourself into it. Many of you like coffee. If you keep pouring enough water into coffee, it dilutes it, and it really doesn't taste very good because it's so weak. Well, that's what happens in a lot of our spiritual lives. Our spiritual lives become so diluted with non-biblical things, with non-godly things, that our spiritual lives become very, very weak. And we have to give God first place in our life, or our spiritual lives are going to be diluted. So Paul tells Timothy, be diligent, be very intentional, and then give yourself wholly. Give it your best. Give it your best. And he said, everyone will see your progress. You know, when we take the time to be the person God's created us to be, people are going to notice a change in us. They're going to notice that about us and say, there's something about you. You've got something I don't have, and I want it. And I want to be like that. And we don't have to go around telling everybody, hey, here's what you got to do. Here's what you got to do. They'll see it in us. And then we'll have the opportunity to tell them about Jesus. So Paul tells Timothy, be diligent, be very intentional, give yourself wholly, and then you'll have an opportunity to be an example. There was a man named Dr. Evan O'Neill Kane. Dr. Evan O'Neill Kane. And this was back in 1921 in New York City. He was at a hospital and he was having some conversations with other doctors, and it was about local anesthetic versus general anesthetic. And they were doing all their surgeries with general anesthetic, and he said, no, that's not good. Some of these should be done with local anesthetic. It's better for the patient. It's better for their healing. And the doctors listened to him and says, you make a point, but we have to see it. We have to see it actually work before we can go that route. So Dr. Kane looks for a volunteer, and his main specialty was appendix, taking appendix out of people, appendix that got infected and all. That was his main thing. And he said if you did a local anesthetic when you do an appendectomy, it was much better for the patient than a general anesthetic. And so he looked for a volunteer, somebody who would volunteer to actually, what it is, you're awake during the surgery. Now, you don't feel it because the local anesthetic takes the feeling away, but you're awake while they're cutting on you and doing all the things. And He had a very difficult time finding somebody to volunteer to do that. But finally, he found somebody to do it. And so the day of surgery came, and two amazing things happened. One was he used local anesthetic rather than general anesthetic. That was one of the major things that happened in this. And as he got the volunteer, and the day came, and he makes the incision, and he does the procedure, and the patient complained just of some discomfort, no pain, but just discomfort. And so other doctors are noticing this, and they're going, okay. And then he finishes the surgery, he sews it up, the patient is taken to recovery, and just in a short period of time, the patient's able to go home and recover. And the doctors notice that, and they go, wow, that's really something. That's really great. Well, the first amazing thing in that surgery was that he used a local anesthetic rather than general anesthetic. But the second incredible thing about that was the patient. See, Dr. Kane could not find a volunteer, so he did the surgery on himself. He gave himself a local anesthetic. He actually did the appendectomy on himself. He felt so strongly that this was important enough that he did that to show the other doctors this is the best way to do it. He was so committed to that idea that look how far he went. Well, spiritually, that's what we're to do. We are to be so committed to a life with Jesus Christ that we will take the time for personal growth. Dr. King went to the extreme to show the doctors this is the best way. And you know what? How strong do we feel to tell other people that Jesus is the best way? Dr. King did it. He did it on himself. When we allow Jesus to do in us what we cannot do, people will see a difference, and then they'll want Jesus. Personal growth. Do you want that? Well, we've got to be intentional, and we've got to give it all. We've got to give it our very best effort, and then people will see. And who knows? Who knows who will come to Christ through that? Have a good day.